Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Listen and grow as Del questions the status quo, encourages you to think differently, and empowers you to make a better life. Get ready as Del challenges core beliefs, seeks the truth, and reveals the roadmap to the lifestyle you really want. And now your host, multi-millionaire, national award-winning investor, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Today is Tell Del Tuesday, and with us today is Binit Gupta out of Dallas, Texas. And Binit has been with us now for quite some time, since 2014. And has accomplished quite a few results, and I'm going to let him get into those because he didn't give me the exact details, so we'll get him to share them, all of which is up to as many as 7 lead deals where he's been the syndicator and the lead operator, and with hundreds and hundreds of units. So we'll get him to say it. And Binit, go ahead and fill us out with what you've accomplished so far, just for an elevator quick intro.
Good morning, Del, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me on the show. First, I'd like to say thank you, Del, for providing all the supports and care and education that you have done for thousands of members. And, I was just wandering around when I first encountered you guys. And today I'm a totally different person, a person who can actually start giving back to the community, not only just continue, working on my own goal. Since 2014, it has been a great journey, to be honest. I never dreamed about being here. It just in 2013, I was not even thinking this way. Now, just 2023, and, thank God and thanks for Lifestyle that I'm here today. So overall, currently I am, involved in different syndication as well as some, idle project, some single families. And particularly focusing in just Metroplex, like in DFW area. The smallest property that I have acquired was 22 units at the syndicator, and the largest one is 320 units recently closed back in May of 2023. And I currently, with the help of the mentors and everybody else, learn how to manage properties as well. So we are managing all our properties ourselves and producing good quality return for our investors. And so, in a nutshell, we started with nothing. And today, if we think about net worth-wise, if I had $1 in 2014, today I have maybe $15 or $16 or $17 worth. So that much net worth had gone up in just a short period of time, just because I was associated myself with Lifestyle, and which definitely provided me this platform to be here today. So that's a long one, but that's what I got to say, Del.
That's excellent. The only thing I would have squeezed out of you more is what those real numbers were instead of that just peripheral example. But that's okay. I'll let you warm up before we go that deep. Let's talk about yourself. You grew up. You were a successful business person. Go through corporate America, what you did. Just, it doesn't have to be a long example, but just so people out there can relate to you. What did you do, and why did you get tired of doing that and decide to look for something else?
It's mainly lots of people have the same story, and I've been very lucky to be, finding Lifestyle. But overall, myself, personality-wise, also, I'm kind of a little different than any other regular person, but I'm always itching to do something better and bigger, and trying to find a way to provide more input in my work as well. And I started my college back in 1996. I'm originally from Nepal. I came to U.S. from undergrad, and then I continued my undergrad, my second undergrad, and finally landed a job in the corporate world. It was great, nothing wrong. First job out of college, worked my butt off. Worked very hard, and in 2 to 3 years, I came to realize, the company will be keeping me for 10, 15, 20 years. But I came to realize very quickly that if I spend 15, 20 years, there's nothing for me but my 401k, whatever they provide, and the money I make. There is no ownership. There is no partnership. There is nothing. There is nothing provided to you, regardless how hard you work. And I moved on because that was a job that I really wanted to carry on, because I knew the business I might be able to operate if I opened my own business. But then, life changed, and I went to work for IT company thinking that maybe I can learn IT, which is was my background, business from the IT side, and then start my own. But unfortunately, everywhere I had this kind of a stoppage point. The growth could not go on. The main thing was the blueprint was not there for success, unless you find someone who can actually put you in the right track to say, hey, this is a good path right here that I have been, and then I can show you the path. And that did not happen to me in a corporate world because everybody was looking out for themselves. No one was there to help me to say, hey, you know what, I can see what you desire, and then let me put you in this path. I'll hit a dead end. I'll get some certain promotions, and I'll get stuck there. And the only thing I'll take home was my vacation, my 401k, and some IRA that I invest, and my salary. So there was no other things for me to have it as a legacy for my kids and my future generation. And that's when I started thinking about doing my own business. I did a small business. I started a beer and wine world type concept in 2009, and it was going well. But the fact that it was lots of inventory management job. It was all about 24/7 involved in managing the operation and managing inventories. Money was there, and I had a plan to franchise and leave my job. But unfortunately, the job by itself, I was in the business working 24/7, and I figured that this is not something let me retire on time or have my enough gain in the time frame of my operation to retire properly or have a legacy for my kids. So I stumbled upon lifestyle because I was complaining about how I'm not satisfied with all these different things. And one of my coworkers, he dragged me to a case study in 2013 in October. He said, "Let me take you to this place, man. They have some magic for you, I believe." So I come in, and I thought it just a regular thing that I could do myself, no big deal. So I got a case study, the case study done, and I became just say, I'll come back and I'll take the 2-day seminar later on. I never came until 2014. I said, what, I gotta give this guy a chance. These people have something, because if they've been here for a long time and they have made so many people successful and people are happy, I gotta give them a chance. I came down in 2014 October. I took that 2-day class seminar, and to be honest, Bill, I was sold in a blink. And within the same week, I invested as a passive investor, and I started working on my education as well at the same time to try to become a lead. And within 6 to 7 months, I ended up with buying a small property, which is the 22 units in Louisville, Texas. And actually, that property is still there. We have refinanced 2 times. And return close to 450% to our investors. Plus, we're doing right now almost 20% cash and cash return on that investment, with the option to refi again and again and again. So that's where I started, and that's my beginning of the lifestyles. And then the sky was the limit. I had just continued learning and attending all the meetings and seminars and meeting all the different leads and mentors, and constantly getting educated, and got the big support to be here today. I hope I wrapped up the whole summary in there for you.
Well, I'd let you go on through the whole thing so it gives us a basis to work through. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to pick it apart a little bit, if you don't mind. Why do people from other countries tend to believe they have to go it on their own, that really getting help from other people is suspect at best?
I'm from Nepal, and I do know something about India as well because we're a neighboring country. The fact is that people tend to stay individually and independent over there because there's no system set up. There's no trust thing set up that you could trust someone and could rely on someone. Regardless, the culture is fantastic. People help each other out. But when it comes to business, or when it comes to thinking for yourself and building your own career, people tend to do things on their own, right? And there is no such thing called leverage. Very little that now in that country has gone to the next level where you can have a little bit of leverage from a corporation or the independent bank or something like that, where you can start something leaning on them to start your business. So what really happens, they tend to stay on their own because they don't trust anybody else, because they don't have that kind of a mentality because of the growing up. You do things for yourself, and that's all you got. You can't believe in anybody else. And when they come here, like myself, I mean, I was open-minded. Regardless of that, I could not wrap my head around that, yes, there is something called leverage, there is called support, there is called organization who you can, lean on to and then figure things out better, because there is no way one person can do anything on their own unless they're just doing a small, shop at the canteen shop somewhere, but they're on the street.
Let's add something to that you've already covered, but I'm just going to highlight it for those that are listening, because I'm trying to grab the people out there that might be like-minded to the way you were when you started, and is they envision that you work in your business. And I would assume in other countries that's what you do. You buy yourself a store and you go to work, and you got grandma there and mama there and your wife and your kids and your whole family works there. And you can never build a business if you work in your business, right?
That's correct, Dale. And that's one of the things that they're smart people. They're very honest and hardworking. I mean, I call myself a hard worker, but there will be lots of other people who can work harder than me. But that's what it is. I mean, we have what we need, but unfortunately, we have to start trusting the system and others as well to help us grow better. And we don't have that because we never learned that. So now that's the education that I got at Lifestyles, that leveraging. I mean, I leverage education. I'm leveraging the funds that comes from the bank. I'm leveraging my resources in terms of my passive investors and myself as a passive investor, right? And there are vendors set up that can provide that service with 100% trust. So the trust is what keeps this business rolling forward, because we have this circle that we created. We created this group of, good team that is leaning on each other to provide the service to all the members of that team are successful. Even if I'm using a roofer, for instance, I trust him because he's been part of the team, for instance, for a long time, and he has a little fear that if he makes a small mistake, he will have a bad, reference. He will not go either. So he has to provide the best possible service to me so I can refer to someone else. And that trust carries forward. That is not there back home. Back home, people tend to say, I'm doing myself because I don't trust you, because there is no true system set up such a way that where I can.
Then you can't trust anybody, including employees, right?
Absolutely.
You can't trust your employees. You can't trust your banker. It's just it feeds itself. So, Binit, one of the things that I know for sure is that when I first met you and I watched you do business, if there's anybody could have done it on his own, it would have been you. But you elected not to do that but it took you a year to get here, man. Spank you very much for that one. For a year, I'm sure you were pondering, I can do this on my own. I don't need to join up. I can see you thinking it right now.
I'm telling you, that 1 year I was just running around, thinking about, what do I do? What do I do? And to be honest, I was just running by myself because I thought I'm the smartest one, right? I could do it. I thought about doing diamond business. I thought about doing all different kind of business, franchise, and all these different things, all this education franchise.
Binit, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Binit Gupta on the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Teaching you with a roadmap to creating the lifestyle you really want. Keep listening. The Del Walmsley Radio Show returns in moments.
Del Walmsley on the economy and politics.
What happens if the economy turns around and goes back down now the Democrats are in power, or inflation becomes rampant and all of a sudden it becomes very difficult to do business? I was listening to an economist the other day, and he pulled out this chart of GDP. He said, look, here's what I want you to do. He said, tell me anywhere from 1950 to 2021 where the Democrats took power and where the Republicans took power. He said, point it out for me. And the truth of the matter is you can't tell.
If you're sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what the politicians are going to do, or waiting to see what the economy's going to do, if you're trying to predict the future, stop. Politicians and the economy have no bearing on your success or failure. Only you do. Register for the next live online free workshop. We'll unfold the map to retirement in 5 years or less, regardless of what's going on in the world. It's the same proven strategies we've been using for 30 years, through every political party and economic cycle you can think of. Register at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
You're hearing the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Want more life-changing knowledge? Access our podcast and listen on demand at lifestylesunlimited.com under the radio tab. Now your host, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Binit Gupta out of Dallas, Texas. And Binit, as we were covering before we went to break, you were able to come in here and change your point of view from being someone who was just going to start a small business, your little store, I guess we call it, wine and beer and cigar store, to something much larger that you've done now. So now it's time we go ahead and shift. We've talked to all these people who are sitting out there on the sidelines and they haven't done anything. And you've been here since 2014 and done 17 times what you came in, or 16 times, or whatever it was. Let's open their eyes for a second. Instead of doing it their way, doing it your new way, your way now, with the leverage and all the tools that you've acquired here doing this work. Let's talk about the kind of money. What kind of money did you come in with? Were you in the 100,000s? Did you have $1 million yet? Where were you at?
Well, I'll disclose it. Well, I mean, I did have some, not too much. So I'll just say, to be reality-wise, if I had sold everything then, I could have 500,000 in my hand, with my IRA and my cash, right?
So there's your net. So that's a good start, and that's, pretty successful person in corporate America doing what everybody's supposed to do. You work, you save, you put it in your 401k. You did what we all did and what we're all taught to do. But now, after you've done this, you said it's 17 times that. So I'm just going to make up a number. I'm not saying you have to hold to it, but if it is 16, 17 times, 16 is an easier number to work with. That means that's like 8 million or something. So if that's the kind of numbers that you're talking about, then that's some really great growth. And I would suggest,
overall, right now, I mean, the way we're looking at right here, we have crossed 10, easily. So definitely, I don't think I'll have dreamed about crossing 10 in 2023 since it started, from 2014. Even if I had opened multiple stores, there was no way the growth will be that fast in other areas. It could have been cash flow coming in a little bit, but the net worth growth is, exponential over here in the last 7-8 years.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I always struggle with, Binit, is I have many different types of businesses. I own many things. And the one thing that always brings me back to real estate every time I stray away from it for whatever period of time that I do is that it creates equity, net worth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has cash flow. And you know me, I've got to have cash flow or I won't buy something. But, you can get into businesses that have massive cash flow. But they have, the second you close that door and you no longer are selling something, they're worthless. Shut the door,
done deal.
turn that business back over to the guy who owns the building, and you're done. It's over.
Done, absolutely. Yeah, and, I have seen this deal. I'll give you 2 examples. I like this, restaurant, very, very, popular. It's our next, very close to our Lifestyles office over in Dallas, and it's called Terra Grill. And what a fantastic location. People were lining up to eat over there, right? I will have to get a half an hour line. It's supposed to be a buffet during lunch hour, sit down dinner during evening hours. Their business was going so great, but guess what happened? They were only leasing the building. Lease expired, did not get renewed. They shut down the business. Not only one, 3 businesses they shut down. I mean, imagine the impact it makes because you have no control because you have no real estate. You only own the business. I mean, the store just rented for 10 years and done. Somehow the landlord decided not to renew the lease, and that business that was booming just gone.
Binit, let's talk about that because you got to look at the other side of that too, which is really interesting. Because I'm that guy. I own those commercial spaces, right? And if a guy's willing to kick you out, and now remember, your business is all predicated on your costs. And you just squeaking by with your profit, and then all of a sudden property taxes, or not property taxes, you don't own the building, but all of a sudden, your costs of overhead go up, right? And one of them is, your cost of your building that you're renting from. And I say, look, I'm sorry, Binit, I know that your business is very tight right now, but the bottom line is I can get, $10 more a square foot than what you're paying me. And I've got to go for that because, these leases are locked in for long periods of time on commercial. And so I've got to push you out. And so if I can get across the board, raise my leases that much, then my value of my building goes up, just like in the apartments. So you really have no control at all.
No control at all. I mean, I was very amazed that I was like, okay, well, such an established business, but they were not able to pay the rent that the landlord was asking. And if they had their own building, I mean, guess what? Not only the cash flow they have from retail business, but they have a real income from their own, rental business, right?
You have to think about this. If they can't afford a rent increase, maybe they're not doing as well as you think. In other words, they're selling. I've seen people run businesses in the red and go, but if we do a lot more, eventually, we'll get out of the red. Somehow the economics of scale will bring us out of the red. So if they're barely making any money, they're thinking, well, if we had 4 stores, we'll make some money. Doesn't work that way. And so you've learned all that here at Lifestyles as you buy each property. Each one of them stands on its own, makes its own money. It has to make money right from the beginning or you don't buy it. Now, let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit here. And as we come to the final segment here, Binit, let's talk a little bit more about your plan. You've already accomplished so much. You're in 9 passive deals. You're a lead investor in 7 deals, 9 single families, 1 duplex. You've done it all. You stuck your finger in there. You got yourself your store. You just closed on this 320-unit complex. What do we see in store for you? How do you see yourself rounding this out, the long-term business plan for yourself?
Well, the main thing is, I've got to enjoy the life as well, right? It's not about money. I mean, money has been made, not finding a way to spend it and live my life better. I did retire my wife from, her corporate world. She was making very good money, and in 2017. And, since then, she has been helping me on the back end and doing some, paperwork. But it's time for us to start winding down a little bit. So I don't see myself too much in action as a lead, in an aggressive way. But I will be leaning towards more passive because then I have more time. And because I trust the system now, if I can do it and have a lot of other leads out there who are doing it and the new leads are coming in and they're working hard. So I feel very comfortable that, as I liquidate, properties, the money that kind of come in, if there's opportunity to buy more IROs, but at the same time, I have enough in there to sustain my expenses. Now it's all about growing my net worth again. So I'm leaning towards the next 5 years to go 100% passive, that's my goal, so I can enjoy more because I gotta spend a better life. I've worked very hard till now, so that's my goal. Definitely we have few projects that may happen in the next 2 to 3 years, but it's all very selective because I'm kind of a little picky. I remember you're telling me that I'm getting a little bit of what you used spoiled. Which is very true. I got very spoiled because I have picked an area that I didn't want to buy all the time. I don't want to buy anywhere else. The Lifestyle's office is like 10 miles from my house, and all the properties that I own, majority of them, 10 miles from my house, right? So I have become so lazy that, even if someone comes up, hey, there's a great property, man, there'll be good money, good fit for you. I don't even bother to look because I'm like, I have plenty to buy right here next to my house. And, they're a great location, great success, story. And I have every single property that's performing very well. Why would I go in a different area where I may have to rediscover everything, right? And so
Absolutely.
I am very, very concentrated in just a few zip codes, to be honest. I want to share that because, I have 3 zip codes that I'm basically working, and they're all in the same area. So it's a 10 miles radius from my house, especially towards the Lifestyle's office areas, Irving area. That's my biggest bread and butter. And I'm focusing over there because I did my survey and figured out there's plenty of property in that area that will turn in the next 5 to 7 years, right? In 3 to 5, 7 years. So why would I go look further when I can buy a property over here and, our return is always great?
Let me ask you another question because you see, you get so excited about this, I have to ask you this next question. Are you going to take the course on how to slow down?
Yes, that is one of the biggest things that I need to think. That's what I'm saying. Like next 5 years is our how to slow things down. Basically,
you need to come over to my house. You need to come over and spend a couple days and watch me do nothing. It will drive you crazy. Do you realize that? You know how nervous you would get to watch me do nothing? Go, why don't you do something? You've got so much money. Why don't you use that money and go do something? You could do so much if you take that money and go do something. Go, no.
Absolutely.
I can just keep that money and do nothing.
That's what the goal is. My wife and I decided, it's time to stay 100% passive and just, watch the show from distance, right? That way, because we provided enough returns to our investors, and we continue to be providing for the properties that we have. And now it's our turn to take, and just lay back and let, other leads do the job for you, and then you make passive income. As long as there is a cash flow, we're good. That's all we care for, right? Cash flow. And right now, luckily, all my properties are in that position of fetching money. So I am very, very comfortable. Knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it. I'm in a very, very comfortable position, and operation is absolutely great. Absolutely great. So,
well, I've got this program I want you to sign up for. How to succeed past 10 million. How to not work and become worth 10 times that. Okay.
10 times that's the best way to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, this program is one-on-one. There's no other place to get it. You're going to have to deal with me because we haven't hired mentors at this level yet.
You are the best mentor. You have done it. You have done it, and you know how to do it. So I think that's the best mentor anybody can, get anyways. But yeah, absolutely right. You are 100% right. And we talk about that all the time. Like, where is the stop, right? The growth is there. The sky is the limit at Lifestyles. To be honest, there is no stopping. Some people are very passionate about continue doing. I'm not worried about too much of the money side. What I worry about performance is anything that I touch, I want to make sure I have minimum 100% return for my investors, right? Cash and cash. And, if I can hit that number and higher, definitely makes me happier. So,
well, I've seen some of the numbers that you put out. I've got to cut you off because we're coming to the end of the show, but I've seen your numbers you put out. I've had you on stage before. We've wowed the audience with the numbers. What's the highest rate of return on any deal you did? Just give me off the top of your head. One deal. Right
now we have 450% return because that's still the play. I will still do 10% to 20 to 15% cash and cash return. I have not sold a deal. I think I did a little bit of a wrong thing. I only have sold one property because that was.
No, that's the right thing. Binit, that's the right thing to do. That's what I look back all the time and wonder why I got rid of all my stuff. Hey, thanks for coming on the radio and sharing your story again with us. And the rest of you out there, remember this. It's not the money. It's the lifestyle. Go have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley radio show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers. The Del Walmsley show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.